California's Gold is produced in association with KCET Los Angeles and is seen statewide on California Public Television. This series is endorsed by the California Teachers Association, the California School Boards Association, and the California Library Association. Well, hello everybody, I'm Huell Hauser, and you know, it seems like these days in California we're always on the move. We're going places and doing things. And that's what this adventure is all about, moving. But we're not talking about people moving, we're talking about a house that's moving. And there it is right over there, a house that's full of history, it's getting ready to move, and it's very much a part of California's gold. Okay, our adventure begins, and to set the stage for us and let us know exactly what this is all about, I'm standing here with Jeff Nickel from the Kern County Museum. Jeff, exactly, first off, where are we? We're right on the side of a major highway here in Bakersfield.
We're on Rosedale Highway, or Route 58 in Bakersfield, California.
Okay, good old Kern County, and we're standing in front of this nice little house here. It has a kind of a feeling that it has some history to it. Let's talk a little bit about why we're here and what the history is of this house.
Well, we have to first go back to 1852 when J.J. Lopez was born in Los Angeles. And in 1874, a few short years later, he moved into Kern County at the base, right at what we call the Grapevine, and started tending to a herd of sheep. And a man by the name of General Edward Fitzgerald Beale, who had the Tejon Ranch, found out about J.J. Lopez and thought he was a really good shepherd and decided to hire him for his own. And he ended up rising all the way up to the mayordomo of the whole Tejon Ranch.
So J.J. Lopez moved from L.A., herded some sheep, was so good at it that he ended up being the head guy, kind of the ranch manager at the Tejon Ranch.
He really was, and in 1909, he decided he was going to retire, and he moved down to Bakersfield and built a home, and that is this home. And at that time, it was in a different location, the corner of California and Chester Avenue, and then the Tejon Ranch was sold. And when it was sold, they decided, the new owners, to hire J.J. Lopez to be the general superintendent and really be the man who ran that whole ranch.
So J.J. Lopez moved to Bakersfield, built this house, and then got hired back and moved back to the Tejon Ranch.
That's right, and ended up working for the Tejon Ranch for over 60 years.
Now, when he built this house, what was this? He built this as his retirement home here in Bakersfield, didn't he?
This is the place that he was going to live, you know, and his wife and daughter, you know, they're with him. So that was where really, you know, maybe his final days were going to be spent. But, you know, hired back. And even in the later years after he wasn't the superintendent, he served as a consultant for the Tejon Ranch.
Okay, so he left this house in Bakersfield, moved back to the Tejon Ranch, but his family stayed in this house.
So his daughter Pearl, lived here, and his grandson Joe Davis, who is with us here today, also lived in this home, and can just tell you a lot of stories about this.
So we have someone here with us today who actually lived in this house back in the days just after it was first built back in the early 1900s.
That's absolutely correct.
And here he is, Mr. Joe Davis. Yeah. Now, Mr. Davis, you actually lived in this house. Your grandfather was J.J. Lopez himself.
Yes. I lived there from till I was 5 years old till I was 18 and a half.
So you lived in this house over almost 15 years.
Yeah.
What was it like living in this little house?
Good, very good. Everything was real nice. We didn't have gas because Grandma and Grandpa was afraid that gas would explode. Mm-hmm. So I had to cut wood for the wood stove. And that's what we cooked on, wood stove.
Did it have indoor plumbing?
Well, yes, it had the sewer. Yeah, the sewer was there.
So this was considered a fine house at the time, wasn't it?
Right. Yeah, and had a bathtub and regular toilets, everything.
There's a picture of you sitting on the front steps.
With my cap on.
Yeah.
That was when I was in 2nd grade at Lowell School.
So you have good memories of living in this house.
Oh yeah, very good memory.
When you come back to this house today, do you have all these good memories about?
Yeah. They had me come out to verify that this was the house.
To verify?
Yeah.
How did you verify?
Well, just looking at it. But see, I worked for the Pacific Telephone for years, and my area was this area. So I've seen this house for the last 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
So I knew the house was here.
It just wasn't in the place where you lived in it. It used to be over on Chester.
Yeah, California, Chester.
Now here comes, this story just keeps on developing here. The house moved from Chester, where Mr. Davis lived in it, to over here. Why did it move over here?
You know, it was moved in 1953. We don't know for sure. There was an earthquake, the major earthquake in Bakersfield in 1952, which could have had something to do with it. But then also Bakersfield was expanding, and that was a commercial property. That corner was very prime property. So it could have been because of the business area that was building up in that area.
Now, we haven't even met you yet. Your name is?
Glenda Rankin.
And why are you here? What are you adding to the story?
Okay, our parents bought this house in 1966 from the Huellers, who were the 3rd owners. It moved out here from the Lopez family, went to the Kopicks, who moved it out here. They lived in it a couple of years, and then the Huellers owned it for about 11 years. Our parents bought it in 1966.
Boy, this house has been moving all over the place and had a lot of different owners to it. But your parents lived here from when to when?
1966 was when they purchased the house, and they lived here until 2005. Actually, our mom and dad divorced in 1971. Our mom lived here until she passed away in 2005.
And she loved this house.
She did love this house. She sacrificed a lot in order to hold on to it.
What do you mean?
Well, she and my dad divorced, like I said, in 1971, and she had, up until that time, she upholstered furniture. That's the reason they bought the house, because it had a little building out back that she could use for her upholstery shop. So when our father divorced our mother, she had to go back to work, and so she got a job as a clerk at the Salvation Army store. She rented her house because she had a mortgage on it, rented her house out, and she was determined by the time she was 50 that she would move back into the house. 46 at the time, had to learn to drive. She had never driven before. In order to hold on to her house, she did everything possible. She met her goal. She moved back in when she was 50, but that wasn't the end of the story. She lived on very low income. She, like I said, worked at the Salvation Army store, but when she retired, she lived on $645 a month, and she took care of this house. This was the most important thing to her. At one point, the house had termites. She saved, out of that $645, she saved enough to treat the house to take care of it.
So over the years, this house has always meant a lot to the people who lived in it.
Right. And
Sure have.
I have good memories of it, and my mother saved a lot of stuff from the house, and my daughter has it. So when the house is moved, she's going to give some of the original things, the piano and stuff, back to the house.
We've seen this furniture. It's a piano, a desk, an old recliner. They're going to donate this back to the house to be used in the museum and preserved with the house.
Okay, now they've already tipped the hand of what's happening next, because there's another chapter to the Lopez house story.
That's right. There's artifacts from J.J. Lopez and his family that will be donated to go right into the house. So the story just keeps getting better and better.
Well, yeah, but wait a minute. Well, you didn't say into the house when it is...
When it is at the Kern County Museum.
So it's moving again.
It is moving again. Let's jack it up and let's get it out there.
Well, wait a minute. Why is it moving to the Kern County Museum?
Well, that's a whole nother story. So it just keeps on expanding. About probably 6-8 months ago, Glenda Rankin and her sister Diane Sharman came to me at the museum and asked if we would be interested in having this grand home at our facility, and I said it would have to have outstanding historical significance. Lo and behold, we did your show on the Tejon Ranch and talked about J.J. Lopez, and right after that they came in to me with a binder that showed this home was actually built by that very same man, J.J. Lopez.
Did you even know about this house before they brought you the material?
Well, I knew the house was here because I live kind of right down the street,
but I didn't know its significance.
I didn't know the significance, who it was built by, who lived here, etc.
See, there's a lesson behind all this. You just never know when you've got history staring you in the face every day.
You know, I was telling that to some of the folks earlier, that it just seems to be all around us, and we're not aware of it until something like this comes about, and then it seems like it just comes out of the woodwork at you.
Now, here's the lady that's, well, you've been saving all this furniture out of the house.
Yes, I have. I have his desk where he signed all his important papers.
J.J. Lopez's desk?
He's my great-grandfather.
This is
my dad.
Your dad?
Yes.
So you're the one who's kind of been collecting and holding on to all this stuff. Did you ever, when you were holding on to it, have any idea where it might eventually go?
No, I had no idea. This is a blessing. It's a miracle. It's just, I have, on the Great Sheep Drive, I have the binoculars that he used.
You're kidding.
I have his lounge chair, the piano that his wife taught the Indian children how to play.
Wow.
I have so much of his stuff.
Where have you been keeping it all these years?
In my house.
So your house is going to be bare after you donate everything to the museum.
Yes, it will be, but it's going to the museum.
Yeah, that's
so our
wonderful.
family and their family and generations can see it.
Do you remember that piano?
Yeah, oh yeah. I took lessons on it.
Mm-hmm. Were you any good?
No, I played da-da-da, da-da-da. That's the best I could do.
Well, it's a wonderful story of continuation, isn't it?
It's wonderful. I think, and my grandmother, his mother, had a hindsight. She knew, and she wrote on all the pictures, the history of J.J. Lopez. I have everything.
Wow.
I have his death certificate, his birth certificate. I have everything.
Wow, you are the family historian.
I think so.
And when you stand here by the house like this, do you kind of feel the vibes of history from your family?
Yes, it's like a feeling of warmth, and it's just, you walk in and I felt everything.
Now, what have we got here?
In May, BMAT School here in Bakersfield did a little community service project. The children brought in money to help restore the house, help move it and restore it. So Megan and Owen would like to tell you a little bit about what they did.
What did you do?
We raised money to help move the house.
Now, what do you know about this house? You know anything about its history?
Well, it's really old, and it's just like old, and it has a lot of history.
Yeah, it has a lot of history to it. Has a lot of history, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's been moved a couple of times, and that makes it special to everybody.
Uh-huh, and it's going to move again.
Yeah.
Thanks to the money that you raised.
We raised a lot of money at BMAT School.
Yeah, was it hard to get the kids excited about a project like this?
You know, they were so excited from the start. I actually was one of the teachers who kind of got it going. My grandmother lived in the house. I'm Glenda's daughter.
Oh, wow, the family's everywhere.
So I teach kindergarten there, and I did a presentation for the kids on the history of the house. Just so that they wouldn't be raising money for some unknown thing. They were raising money for something that would mean something to them.
Well, it's a real place that was a real home for real people.
Exactly, exactly. And that way the kids could go out to Pioneer Village at the Kern County Museum when they're 30 and tell their kids, I helped move this house. This was something I was a part of, and it will make people want to visit the museum and be that much more important to our town as well.
Here's busy Rosedale Highway. Lots of development, lots of hustle and bustle, lots of commercial establishments, solid all the way up and down the highway. And here's your mother's little house over here.
Stuck in the middle of all this traffic and all this development, but over the years, she continued to tell realtors time and time again, my house is not for sale.
I bet she got a lot of visits from a lot of realtors who were just drooling.
She really did. Probably once or twice a week.
You're
People
kidding.
would come by and ask her to sell her house, and she continued to say right to the very end, when she actually had Alzheimer's, she continued to say, my house is not for sale.
So this is really, though, it is a perfect location for a commercial.
A business endeavor, absolutely.
Yeah.
And she just loved her home so much. Realtors would offer her any house in Bakersfield that you want. We will give it to you. And again, it was, my house is not for sale. It is my home, and I will live here until the day I die. And she did. We brought her home from the hospital. She actually passed away in her living room, and that's where she would have wanted to be.
We almost forgot to come inside of the house, but when you come inside of the house, this looks authentic to me.
It sure does. Our mom not only loved the old home, she loved her antique furniture too.
So this is the way it was when your mom, the last person to live here,
When she
lived
passed
in
away
this house.
2005, this is the way her house was.
So you
and has
left it
been
just
this way.
like this.
We have
We have.
exactly the same way.
And what's so interesting about it is that I have a feeling it didn't look all that much different when the Lopez family lived here.
It didn't, and this was a special room for the Lopezes as well as our family. The fireplace, the mantel. Joe talks about them coming into this room, building a big fire, going over and sitting by the radio, listening to the radio stations long before TV was here. So, and this was our mom's
very
favorite room. She loved the fireplace. That's why she
Isn't
bought
it
it.
interesting that whatever family lived here, they liked the same
same
things
things.
about the house?
Yeah, no,
It
they
is.
really did.
This old house was loved then and now, and it will be loved by many, many more people at the museum.
It has good bones.
It definitely does. Was built very well, and it went through an earthquake. Is still here, so it'll live a lot longer.
Wow. Was this what it was? Look around here. Your mom, what was it she loved so much about this house? That because she worked so hard to hold on to it all of those years.
She definitely did. You know, as I told you, she had an upholstery shop. This couch was one of the pieces of furniture that she upholstered that she loved. Several of the chairs in this room were pieces that she upholstered.
And growing up in the Depression days, everything was used.
Well, to grow up in the Depression days also, if your home was the most important thing that you had to hold on to.
An
home and your
American
family.
dream, and our parents came at the end of the Dust Bowl days, and they truly are part of the history of Kern County. So many people have come here under the same circumstances, and I know the people are so supportive here of us getting this house moved out to the museum.
So we kind of ended up here with a group picture. Here's the Lopez family right here, the descendants of J.J. Lopez, who built this house back in the early 1900s. How does all this attention to old J.J. Lopez make you feel?
Well, it's something new to me. I'm not used to all the attention, but it's coming out big time.
I believe he's watching from above and he's smiling big.
Yeah, well, the Lopez family, you've got to all be very proud.
We are.
You're the grandson of
No, he's
the son of J.J. Lopez, the granddaughter of J.J. Lopez,
Great. Wait a minute. I'm the grandson. She's a
great-grandson.
granddaughter, and great-granddaughter, great-great-great-great-granddaughter, and great-great-great-great-great. Oh my gosh. So we got the whole Lopez greats here. And then we got the descendants of the last family that lived here. You're all part of the Hill
The
family.
Hill family. We are. And this is our grandson,
So
Zachary.
all of this, it's look at this. We've got the whole continuum of history right here.
We do.
With the kids from the school who are raising money to move the house right in the middle. So you're honorary members of the Lopez and the Hill family. How does that make you feel?
Good.
Good. All right, let's get a nice, good shot of everybody. Jeff, this is very exciting. when is this house going to be moved? Do we know?
Well, you know, we're going to have to raise the funds to bring this house in. So hopefully we'll do that quickly, and in the next few months we can have this right there at the Kern County Museum for everybody to come look at.
And this is something that people all over Kern County are getting behind to raise money, just like the kids did, to move this house and save this important piece of Kern County and California history.
That's absolutely right. The people of Kern County are getting behind it, and what's great is the residents of Kern County, but not only that, people come to the Kern County Museum from all over the world, so they'll be learning this history.
Everybody give us a wave. This is a continuing story, a very exciting story, a story of history living here in Kern County. Well, this ended up being not only a story about living history in Kern County, but about moving history in Kern County. Because just a few weeks after we left, the house moved. 10 miles to be exact, in the dead of night. And it ended up almost 6 hours later at its new home at the Kern County Museum. Then the real work began. Fixing the roof, putting on a chimney, a whole new foundation, painting inside and out, and of course there was landscaping. All of this took a couple of more years, until finally the project was completed. Jeff has just invited us to come back to Bakersfield to see the finished product. Are you ready? Because here it is. Right over here, and look at this, the old Lopez Hill house. Well, it's never looked better. Well, it may have looked better when it was brand new. We weren't around when it was brand new, but this is it in its new location right here in a very powerful place of honor right here on the grounds of the Kern County Museum. This is the house that we saw years ago, but boy, it sure looks a lot better.
It sure looks pretty, doesn't it?
Are these the original? Was it originally green and white like this?
So these are the original colors. So
How do you know that?
We did color analysis and went through all the layers of paint to find out what the original colors were.
Boy, this is beautiful, but if you think it's beautiful on the outside, wait till you see what they've done on the inside, because we're getting the inside tour too, aren't we? We're inside the house, and boy, it's a colorful house. This is a new color I hadn't seen before.
That is a new color. We did all of the color analysis to see what the original colors were here.
This was original. What do you call this color?
Original. I'm not sure. It has
when was this house built?
It was built in 1909.
So they liked those bright colors.
They really did like those bright colors, and you'll see it, you know, throughout the house as we go through. But it's just a great color.
This is obviously a bedroom here. There's a sewing machine over here. Here's your pride and joy right here. Tell us what we're looking at right here.
Well, this right here belonged to J.J. Lopez. As you can see, it's pretty much his home desk, you might say. And so he had all sorts of things that he could keep in here. But the fact that his family and his great-granddaughter, Nancy Tennant, kept it, you know, that's just a great story in and of itself.
And she's now giving it back so that it's here for people to see.
So everyone can see when they come to it.
It's come back after all these years.
That is right.
All right, let's continue this home tour. We got the bathroom, which has got this, again, what color green do you call this?
I knew you were going to ask me that. Lime green. No,
lime green. Then we got another bedroom with kind of a yellow, kind of a golden yellow color. We got the kitchen with kind of a darker green.
And I think part of that has to do, too, with the lighting in this room and compared to the other. But it is, you know, so it looks pretty similar.
Boy, and this is definitely a green room. Now, we were in this room years ago. There's the fireplace over there.
And you know, one of the interesting things about that is that fireplace had been where it was non-functioning, so it had a little electric thing in it. We actually restored that. So now we have the chimney on top of the house and put in the bricks, the whole bit.
And I remember the couch because this wasn't from the Lopez family. This was from
the Hill family. This was Lavern Hill's, and she was an upholsterer, and she actually did the upholstery work on this.
So this is kind of another family. This connects the families, 2 main families, but a total of 4 families.
It really does connect them. Even more so, this was JJ's recliner.
J.J. Lopez's
yes.
recliner?
Yes. So
she kept this as well.
That's right.
Oh, boy, this is a treasure trove. But I think the high point is over here. I asked you if this was original, and you told me what?
I said yes. Yeah, so this belonged to Mary Lopez, JJ's wife, and she would teach the children, including the Indian children, how to play piano. And this piano. And you can see here she still has all the chords written down and numbers. So it's just a fantastic piece.
So all of this had been saved all those years, waiting to come back.
Waiting to come to our dream house.
And now for the big surprise. Big surprise, give us a wave. We're reunited after all these years. The last time I saw you all was over on Rosedale Highway. Yes. Here is the Lopez family right here. You lived in that house.
Yep, from 1923 to 1937.
What do you think the old house looks like? Did they do a good job?
They sure did. Yes.
Did a good job?
Yes.
And you're the great-granddaughter who saved all that stuff.
Yes, I am. I received it from my grandmother, his mother, and we've had it in our house. In fact, using an awful lot of it.
I saw the desk, I saw the piano, I saw his chair.
Yes.
So you've saved, your wife, you told me, saved everything.
She does. She don't throw away nothing.
Is there still stuff to bring over here?
There's a lot more in the trailer.
Just got to find it and dig it out.
Yes, I have all of his papers. He was an avid reader, so we have many, many books.
But see, you're getting the last laugh on your husband and everybody else because you saved it and now it has this wonderful home.
Yes, and my family will be immortalized forever, you know, right here in the museum, and it's wonderful.
So we got the Lopez's right here. Everybody's happy. Now, we didn't meet you before. You're the family that lived in between the time the Lopez's and the Hills. Your name?
Ron Kopic, sir.
Okay, you weren't here a couple of years ago because you worked for the post office and you were off somewhere in the hinterlands doing something with the Postal Service.
Yes, sir. They decided I needed a little training.
What do you think about the house?
It's absolutely great.
Yeah, because your family lived in it for how many years?
About a year and a half.
So you weren't there very long compared to the Lopez's or the beaming Hills over here. Boy, the sisters, you got to be happy about this.
We are so happy, and our mom is up in heaven looking down right now, and is she happy?
First thing Jeff showed me when we took the home tour was that beautiful bright red reupholstered sofa that she had.
Absolutely. Nan would be thrilled to know that her red velvet couch is in the Kern County Museum.
Forever.
Forever.
This has been a community effort of love through this whole process, hasn't it?
This really has been a lot of love, and really Kern County showing at its finest.
Well, I got to tell you, the house looks great, and you're right. It's going to be here for future generations to walk through it, to touch it, to feel it, to see the brightly colored paint. Congratulations. Let's get out of the way so we can see the families. Give us a wave. Give us a thumbs up. There they are, the families that call this place home over the years. This wonderful house that is back thanks to the people of Kern County. Come on down and see the house for yourself. It's got a lot of family history inside. It's a fine example of California's gold.